The United States' position as the sole remaining superpower on Earth is in large part thanks to its Air Force. That organization, the United States Air Force, or USAF, turns 70 years old today, and since we know there are plenty of plane spotters and aviation geeks here at us, we thought we'd assemble a gallery of some of our favorite USAF planes to celebrate. Of course, the US military had access to air power before September 18, 1947. The Army started playing around with planes a few short years after the Wright brothers took to the skies and proved heavier than air flight was possible, getting its first airplane, a Wright Flyer, naturally, in 1909. Around the same time, the US Navy also started getting into the flying business, but since today isn't the Navy's birthday, that's the last we'll say about naval aviation here. By World War II, the U.S. Army had its Army Air Forces, which flew combat missions in the European and Pacific theaters. The USAF even brought the war to a close when a pair of B-29s dropped atom bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. In the aftermath of World War II, Congress decided that the country required a dedicated Air Force and created a new branch of the military with the National Security Act of 1947. The United States Air Force was born. The Cold War was good business for the aerospace industry that supplied the USAF. Constant fears of being one-upped by the design bureaus of the USSR meant a steady stream of new fighters, bombers, cargo planes, and other equipment was always on order. Its first big action was the Berlin Airlift, an almost year-long operation to bring food and other vital supplies into Allied-controlled parts of the city after the Soviet Union decided to block ground transport links. Just 2 years later, the USAF was deployed on the Korean peninsula. There are, in the skies above the Yalu River, dogfights between USAF F-86 Sabres and Soviet MiG-15s showed the world that we were truly in the jet age. A trio of North American F-86 Sabres. The Convair B-36 Peacemaker ride was vast in comparison to the B-29 left that saw service in World War II. But it wasn't a particularly good plane and was soon retired. A B-47 Stratojet medium bomber built by Boeing Airplane Company's Wichita Division No. 1000 is shown high over Kansas during a test flight. Accompanying the plane, a B-47E is No. 1001, an RB-47E reconnaissance Stratojet. No. 1000 was delivered to the U.S. Air Force Strategic Air Command on December 17, the 7th anniversary of the maiden flight of the original XB-47 in Seattle. No. 1000 will join the 40th Medium Bombardment Wing at Smoky Hill Air Force Base in Salina, Kansas, a unit of the 15th Air Force. The F-86 was good, but the USAF wanted something that could go supersonic. North American designed this F-100 Super Sabre, the Convair B-58 Hustler. While it looks like the quintessential early Cold War bomber, it was not in service for very long. Capable of Mach 2, it was difficult to operate, and about a third of them crashed. The Republic F-105 Thunder Chief got the nickname Thud because that's the noise they made when they got shot down over Vietnam. A Convair F-106 Delta Dart. In 1970, one of these became infamous as the Cornfield Bomber. A Douglas A-1 Skyrider. These saw a lot of service in Korea and Vietnam. In the foreground, a McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom. In the background, a Boeing B-52. The first U-2 spy planes were operated by the CIA, but when Curtis LeMay saw the results they were getting, he ordered his own for the USAF. The U-2 was slow and vulnerable to missiles, so Lockheed whipped up this thing, the State Route 71 Blackbird. The Boeing KC-135 is probably the true workhorse of the USAF. The U.S. Air Force's last C-5A Galaxy rests before being retired to the 309th Aerospace Maintenance and Regeneration Group at DeVis-Monthon Air Force Base, Arizona, September 7, 2017. The C-5A has been in operation for more than 44 years and has over 22,500 flight hours and more than 5,470 full-stop landings. Originally supposed to be a lightweight daytime dogfighter, the General Dynamics F-16 soon became the USAF single-seat jack of all trades. An F-15C Eagle aircraft with the 44th Fighter Squadron approaches a KC-135 Stratotanker from the 909th Air Refueling Squadron to begin an in-flight refueling procedure March 21, 2016, off the coast of Japan. Lightning strikes behind the B-1B Lancer during an evening thunderstorm, September 9, 2010, at Ellsworth Air Force Base, South Dakota. These things are really amazingly loud. One flew past our house in Washington, D.C. on Thursday and the windows rattled for ages. A U.S. Air Force A-10C Thunderbolt II takes off during the 2017 Heritage Flight Training and Certification course at DeVries Monthan Air Force Base, Arizona. Paratroopers descend after jumping from a C-17 Globemaster III. Old and new AB-52 left and B-2 right. The F-22 is the USAF's current air superiority fighter. The F-35 has had a troubled development, but the USAF's variant F-35A has probably been the least troublesome. A General Atomics MQ-9 Reaper. If anyone knows what the Air Force is doing with the X-37B, be sure to drop us a line and tell us. Back at home, General Curtis LeMay was busy building up Strategic Air Command, the bomber side of the USAF. LeMay was a hard taskmaster and kept SAC on a hair-trigger alert, ready to strike targets in the Soviet Union at a moment's notice. SAC's workhorse was the Boeing B-52 Stratofortress, which entered service in 1955, nearly 80 of which are still in service today. Thankfully for all of us, it was never given the order. But the USAF saw plenty of action in Vietnam, where it learned hard lessons about the efficacy of surface-to-air missiles. Post-Vietnam, the USAF geared up for what many thought was an inevitable war with the USSR. To do so, it needed faster and more capable planes, leading to designs like the F-15 Eagle, F-16 Fighting Falcon, and everyone's favorite Warthog, the A-10 Thunderbolt II. These never did end up dicing with MiGs and Sukhoi over the skies of Western Europe, but they did find action in the Middle East, most commonly dropping bombs in support of ground troops. Today, the USAF is all about stealth. Those lessons from Vietnam about the dangers of radar-guided missiles drove investment into a new area of research, one that could make planes invisible to radar, if not the naked eye. The results have been spectacularly effective and spectacularly expensive. Plans for a large force of B-2 Spirit bombers eventually got scaled back to just 21 airframes. The F-22 Raptor was also too expensive for Congress to stomach, and it cut the order in half to 187 examples. Even the F-35 Lightning II orders have been scaled back a little. Some also wonder if the F-35 will be the last new manned fighter in the lineup. The USAF was keen on drones and autonomous vehicles decades before they became a hot item at, say, an unmanned aircraft, to progressing past the prop-driven MQ-1 Predator and MQ-9 Reaper into more capable machines. It's even believed that the B-21 Raider, due to enter service sometime in the mid-2020s, will be capable of unmanned flight. Happy birthday, United States Air Force.